Let's do a simple logical argument here, my dear friend.
Yeah.
According to you, assuming you are right, let's take you to be true in what you said. Assuming you are right, one scientist read this and became a Muslim.
Yes, that's right.
If that is the reason why this is true, your logic should be true even in the contrary case. How many scientists read this and do not become Muslims? And that to you should tell you that it is not true.
Most Christians here are getting paid for doing that.
I thought you said Muslims are getting paid.
No.
It is a mosque.
No, Christians.
Which Christians? So you
Most
obviously
Christians here are getting
so
paid.
you obviously said I am getting paid, and I'm assuming you go around saying the same thing about many other Christians. Yeah, I'm assuming. That makes you a very, very sad person.
We don't have a problem with that. The problem is how you interrupt the Bible, and is it the right one or not? This
Bible is the right one. No problem. When last did you read the Bible?
I didn't.
So
I didn't.
for you,
yes.
Someone who has never read the Bible, for him to mock, scoff, is that a good thing?
If it is the right Bible,
Which Bible do you want to
then
read?
God bless you. If this Bible saying that Jesus is God,
Can I tell you something, please? If the entire revelation that we have is
not the
only
right
Islamic
Bible.
revelation,
If
I would give up on God.
If you have any,
If the entire revelation
hold-
that we have
just-
is only Islamic
1 minute.
revelation,
If you have-
there is no point in God expecting me to follow Him. How can He expect me to follow Him when He doesn't give me any verifiable evidence?
Would you read the Bible to your own children?
When He has given me the brain, who gave you the brain? Who gave you a brain? So Allah gives you a brain but does not want you to use it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Who said?
My God gave me a brain,
Correct.
and He wants me to use it.
Hold on.
Therefore,
Hold on.
He gives
See
verifiable.
your brain. You can't see it.
Wait.
I'm not saying you can see my brain. I am saying I can use it, and that is why God
You have a
created
brain.
it. You use it. So the Quran does not have a miracle.
Every day. We have a miracle every day.
Correct.
What miracle happened to you today?
Every day there's a miracle.
What happened to you today?
No day looks like another day. Every hour differs.
You see, the tragedy is the Quran and Islam has no miracle to an extent. He has to make up the definition of a miracle.
Can I show you?
For him,
Can I show you
the
a miracle?
made-up definition of a miracle
Do you want
is
the miracle?
yesterday is not
Do
like
you want
today,
the
and
miracle?
therefore it's a miracle.
you
Is
want
that
the
how you
miracle?
define a miracle?
Do you want the miracle?
Is that how you define a miracle?
Yeah, that's the definition. Trying to avoid it. Yeah, it's programmed, Because there is. The Quran is made up. Okay?
I deal with computers, my dear friend. I deal with computers. I know what program means.
I did.
People who can't make a point on their own, can't defend a point on their own, are programmed. That is what you are.
You asked
Could
for
not
a
make a
miracle?
point, could not defend a point.
In the sea, there is a barrier of drinkable water that divides the two seas. That's in Surah Al-Rahman, okay?
Wait.
In Surah Al-Rahman.
Please take the Quran.
Show me.
Yes, there is.
Let's read the Quran.
Okay?
Let's see what
There's
it
a
says.
barrier.
No, one second. Let's
We're going to read the Quran. We're going to read the Quran.
let's read.
We're going to read the
You want to do the
Quran.
miracle? There you go.
We have it in our
Oh
country.
yeah, you have all sorts of miracles. Yeah, read please. Read please. Let's see what it
I
says.
can read it in Arabic if you want.
Can you speak in English?
We will read it to you in English.
Yes.
Okay, because I only
Why did you
memorize the
bring
Quran in
Arabic
Arabic.
now? Good, let's
Okay?
read.
No contradiction at all.
مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان.
Translate that for us.
He will translate.
For me, who doesn't know Arabic,
Okay.
please
I don't have
translate.
Go, brother, if you have it in English.
Allah said he wouldn't do America, didn't he? He'd bring no
Time
America.
and time again, Muhammad was challenged. Time and time again, he runs away. By people who wanted to see a miracle in his life. Show us a sign. And he runs away. runs
I feel
away.
like miracles.
Wait, show you. Let's see. Let's see the miracle.
I don't have the translation.
Please. Who can read that in English, please?
Can show it to me.
Yeah, please.
Would you believe?
No. Let's
Would
read
you
first.
believe?
There are many.
I am trained not to just believe. I am trained
No
to think,
miracles in the Quran, my
evaluate,
fellow.
There are, and I will
and
give
then
you
come
one.
to conclusions and
And I
then
will
choose
give
to
you
believe.
one. Huh? I will
Why
give
are
you
you so
one.
obsessed about believing straight away? Why?
I will give
Because what
you
you're saying
one.
doesn't make sense, you know.
What I am saying is, show me.
If I make you believe, I go to Jannah, or you go with me.
My dear friend, my God is
Okay?
not about.
You go to heaven with me.
Can I say something, please? You know what the term is for making people believe without giving a reason? Do you know what the term is for that?
The term is Trinity.
No, the term to make people believe without giving a reason is brainwashing.
Yes,
That's what it
exactly
means.
what you're doing.
Make people believe without giving
I
a
will give you
reason.
one. I will give you one.
Let's read your barrier
Yes,
and the
yes.
sea
I
and
will-
whatever.
I will give you one.
Read it.
First, you need to consider that this, I don't know how long, how old is Quran, like 100, 300, 400 years, I don't know. Thousands, this is something. Allah distinguished not to count the similitude. You can read it. Maybe somebody you can read it.
Yeah, what's that?
عن البعوضة إن الله لا يستحي.
This
This is very good. This is very good example.
Yeah, let's see
for
the
miracle.
No, it's in English. You can read it in English. You can read it.
Allah disdaineth not to coin the similitude even of a gnat or anything above that.
Okay.
What's
Just
the
a
miracle
minute.
there?
Just a minute. This is the just a minute. You
What's the
can
miracle
Google
there?
now. You can Google the nut. The nut has this insect. This small insect has another.
So can I get my own simple one?
Just take this, huh?
Surah 1
The
is
nut.
Al-Baqarah. Surah, which surah is that?
Surah Al-Baqarah 26, huh? You
Surah
can go to
Al-Baqarah,
the,
one second.
just go for the
One
tafsir,
second.
huh?
Let me.
Let me just, you can.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There are many. This is just now discovered.
Now let's deal with one at a time,
Yes,
please.
you can go.
26. Let me read.
This is like thousands years, huh? This, yeah, it's thousands years old.
If this is a miracle, let's
This
see.
is a miracle.
There you go. There you go.
Just a minute, just let me.
مرج البحرين يلتقين. He has.
Indeed,
I'm
Allah.
not worried about
Indeed, I'm reading to you
Yes,
from,
yes.
from my English translation.
Yes.
Indeed, Allah is not
He
timid
has
to
let
present.
Yes,
two
yes.
bodies.
Just,
One second.
just. A,
Indeed,
And then we.
one second. When Al-Baqarah, verse 26. Indeed, Allah is not timid to present an example, that of a mosquito, or
And-
what is smaller than it.
yeah. No. The translation is wrong. So
let's say a gnat.
Wait. Yes,
Gnat.
whatever.
And what is smaller than it? What's
Yes,
the miracle there?
The smaller above it.
Yeah, what's the miracle there?
Oh, the smaller above it. This is the correct translation. The smaller above it. There is another insect on top of the nut, which live with it. How come somebody like Prophet Muhammad know about this?
You can read and write. And how did you know it?
From thousands of years. How come? You
Now,
can't.
how long have gnats been around? How long have gnats been around?
No. Even
No,
now,
one second.
you don't know about it. Even you now. Even you, if you can't,
second.
you
Even
need
the scientists,
you
they
need a
don't know.
scientist.
Yeah,
You need a
One
scientist
second.
of that insect.
1 second. Yeah. So your
It's
point,
not a crime.
my dear friend.
You
your
ask
point-
America.
my
See,
dear-
see, the
Oh, you want a miracle? Here's a miracle.
Hold on.
No, come and have a
you
have a
make your
look.
point, and then let me try and
See,
respond.
if you, I don't want, I know you will be defensive. I will be defensive.
you make
hold
a
on,
point,
hold
and
on.
then
Just
I'll
can you-
respond.
You will be defensive to your religion.
Now, forget about being defensive. I shall respond once you make your point.
Yes.
What about it?
If you want to respond, you can respond. But I advise you to take that ayah and to search for it scientifically. When they discover that insect above the other one,
So good.
it
Are you done now?
it need a microscope of
Are you done
millions.
now?
It need a microscope. It's just recently, maybe 5 years ago, they discovered it.
Are you done now?
I'm done. Yes. You
Okay.
can-
So if I could
Here's
respond.
another
Whoa, whoa,
miracle.
whoa, whoa.
Here's another
Wait a
miracle.
second, my dear friend. What Christians normally do
Yeah.
is when someone makes a point, we listen
No,
to the
you-
point.
when you say-
we try and see if that
Yeah,
is
you can-
credible
you can-
and
You
respond.
can credit it. We'll come to it. You can
We
credit
respond.
it. You can credit it. You can criticize
They will
it.
show you-
Can I
Whatever.
respond?
How can you respond?
You will see.
Yeah.
If you let me speak.
He's not qualified to respond anyway.
Yes.
All right.
No, you say I'm a programmer.
So
See,
Quran
you
is full of miracles.
Hold on.
You just mentioned the miracles.
When you
And
say,
no one
the
is
scientist.
qualified to
when you say
respond.
I'm a programmer and you are a scientist, now I need your
He didn't say
response.
he's a scientist.
As a
He's a
scientist,
computer.
I'm saying to you that there is an insect. Above that,
I thought you mentioned that already.
yes, you can go ahead.
Good. So,
And this is another fact. This is
am I
thousands years
responding now?
ago.
Exactly.
Give a chance. Okay.
1,400 years ago.
1,400 years ago.
1,400
Yes,
years ago.
someone knew about gnats 1,400 years
Yes,
ago.
you can.
And that's a miracle. Okay, let me respond.
Can you snapshot this? Can you just picture it? For you. This is for you. I want to come next year.
I'm trying to
Next
see
year.
when you would stop
Yes,
for me to
yes.
begin responding. Yeah. So, so now let me begin my response by saying I'm a bit upset that this gentleman.
I'm not upset. You're my brother. You're my brother. In humanity,
I
we're
did
brothers.
not say you were
No,
upset.
I'm not upset with you at all.
I didn't say you were upset. I said I am upset. I said I am upset. I am upset. But what is the tragedy? The tragedy, another tragedy with Islam has shown up through his words. And it's on record. Through his words just a few minutes ago, couple of minutes ago. And he said, I am not qualified to respond. And that to me shows me an Islamic mindset where you think, let me finish. You think you have miracles. You make your own comments about the miracle, about miracles, and before even the
have miracles. Miracles are in the Quran. In the Quran, miracles not.
before even the listener responds,
Almighty who made
you
the miracles.
discredit the
not us.
listener.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that how you deal with miracles? Good.
Go ahead.
Now let's address the point you raised. So you were saying Surah 2, Al-Baqarah, Ayah 26 as a miracle, and I'm trying to evaluate if that is the case. Now, so first problem I see is that the statement you made, which you read in Arabic, which I appreciate, you read in Arabic, but that statement apparently in English, even Muslims do not stick to your own translation. Even Muslims do not stick to your own translation. You were talking about gnats and something else being above that. Now, my first challenge is it seems like I'm not an expert in Arabic, but it seems like Arabic experts who are Muslims also, who have taken the trouble to translate Quran into English, which I am reading, Sahih International Version. It says, indeed, Allah is not timid to present an example that of a mosquito. It's not talking about a gnat, it's talking about a mosquito.
It is a mosquito.
One second.
It's
a mosquito.
The right translation is a mosquito.
Mosquito, yeah. Mosquito. And then it goes on to say, or what is smaller than it.
Yes.
So it's not talking about a spatial reference, spatial arrangement of something on top of something else.
No, on top of it.
One second. Well, your own Muslim brothers disagree with you.
Okay, fine.
Your own Muslim brothers who have taken the trouble to
Fine.
translate this as
Yeah.
not a spatial arrangement of one being on top of another, but rather a comparison of the sizes of two different things.
Fine.
Apparently, two different things. One second. Two different.
Fine.
Two different things, apparently, and what is one of them? One of them is clear from here, and that is a mosquito. What is the other one? Let's read what the other one is.
No.
Indeed, Allah is not timid to present an example that of a mosquito,
Listen to the next. Listen to the next. Yes.
that
Yes.
of a mosquito,
Yes.
or what is smaller. Is he talking about any particular thing here? I can't see that. He is talking about what we would say indefinite
No,
thing.
no, no,
What?
No.
We in English
We're
people
talking about microscopic world. We're talking about the world of the small.
Unfortunately,
Wait.
unfortunately, that's not what I'm
Wait,
seeing here.
wait.
That's not what I am seeing here. You might want
I
to
will
change
help
your
you.
Quran.
No.
If that is what
Just
you want to
1
do,
minute.
please go ahead, do that.
1 minute.
But
I will advise you with two things. First, you need to research about what I am saying. Do a research.
Is that your Quran?
Hold on.
Al-Baqarah.
Wait about
Sahih
Quran.
International
No,
Translation.
no.
Is that your Quran?
The second, you need to read the ayah. Hold on. You need to read the ayah as well after.
A mosquito is
Because the God now talking to you. The ayah after that. Just go ahead.
So, now,
A mosquito.
I'm willing.
To your
I'm
knowledge.
willing. I'm
your knowledge.
willing to read the ayah after this, as long as we can read this ayah.
Yes.
So you said
the God is talking to you.
the miracle is
Can I read?
Muhammad somehow.
No, can I read it?
Yes, yes.
Well, you can take your phone
No,
and
no,
read
you
it.
twist it. You are lying to the people. Can I read it?
Well, you can
No,
read
no,
it.
no, no, we trust him. He's looking for the truth.
Can you trust
You
him?
are a
Please,
truth.
you
You are a
want
truth
to-
searcher.
Yeah.
You want
You
to-
can
I'm
read
not
it.
wearing
if
my
you want.
glasses, you know.
You can read if you want.
No, no, no. You can read the ayah.
That's the level of
You know,
discipline,
mosquito
my dear
is
friend,
more
you can move on.
sophisticated than F-35.
So, how many different things that SOCO is talking about?
It's more
It's talking about a
sophisticated
mosquito.
than F-35.
It's talking about a mosquito.
Mosquito.
F-35.
Just for your information. Mosquito by itself, if you go to the science of mosquito, by itself is a miracle. It has
You know why?
like
You
8
know
hearts.
why?
It has
Jesus
like,
never called a God.
I don't
Why do
know,
you
a
call
number
God?
of brains, like 6 or 7 brains. It is very complicated creature.
I can't. I did by mosquito.
Anyway,
I studied mosquito in biology a
Hold
long
on.
time ago.
Hold on.
I've forgotten the facts.
Hold on. Hold
I
on.
agree.
Just a
Mosquitoes
minute. Just
and
a-
any other living beings
Now read.
are
Can you please
very,
read?
very remarkably
Can you
designed.
please-
That's not the question
Can
we
you
are talking
please read
about
the ayah
here.
after that as well? Can you please read?
So you said this is talking about things which live on top of mosquitoes. Unfortunately, I don't find
No
that.
problem.
Unfortunately,
either top or small. It
excuse
doesn't
me, my
matter.
dear friend.
It
What
doesn't
would be a
matter.
miracle? What would be a miracle to me is you seeing things which obviously aren't there. That is a miracle which
Can
I
you read
find,
the ayah
which is
after
not
that?
in the Quran, which is in your mind.
Can you read the ayah after that?
And those who have believed, know that it is the truth from their Lord. What is the truth? That Allah is not timid to present an example. Of course, God is not timid. People well before Muhammad knew this.
You know what that means?
Muhammad did
You know
not
what that
reveal
means?
this.
You know what it means?
This is
In
not
that
what
mosquito,
I'm
there's more technology than the F-35.
How does we're talking about Allah being timid? And apparently Allah.
Even the science now, they prove it. They
So-
prove it now in the Quran.
Your son,
Like your stomach.
Bring the fingerprints. The fingerprints. That's really good. That's good. That's good.
so the point, my dear friend, if I could please.
Why am I lying? Why am I lying?
No.
Do you know who wrote the Bible?
So,
It is from the
Why are you
same source.
telling-
They are from the same source. No, it is from the same source. They will tell you the same thing.
You know this Indian guy?
So if we,
No, okay.
my dear friend, let's
Now-
put it this way.
now
Let's put it
let's
this way.
go-
One second. Let's
go to the
one second.
mosquito.
Just 1 second. Yeah. If I could give you a quick comparison.
Now you
Yeah.
ask for miracle, this is miracle.
Yeah.
I have another miracle if you want. More miracles.
Wait. What other ants on top
No,
of something
no
else?
ants, no.
Birds on
It's a
top
seed.
of cows. What else are you going to
No,
do?
read it.
Okay.
Okay, read it loud, okay? First, and this one, okay?
Which is that chapter 55? Can I take that in this one?
Yeah.
How do I read this? Is each line? Yeah. Where from
Go
guys?
from there. This is the line we're interested
From here, yeah. He has led. So I am reading from chapter 55, the beneficent, Al-Rahman, verse 19.
Okay.
He has let free the two bodies of living water meeting together. Between them is a barrier which they do not transgress. Let's read. So if I could read this here.
Yeah. And that was just discovered in the 20th century. How did Muhammad knew about it? How did you know about it?
Did Muhammad know about that? Is a question.
Yeah, it was in the Quran.
Does
1,400
the
years
Quran
ago.
talk about that? Is there an Arabic reader here who is a
Wait,
Christian?
yes, tell me what's the problem?
Who is a Christian? You make things up.
No, I
You
believe
make
in
things
Christian.
up. We
I
tell them
believe
there.
in Christian. I believe in Jesus as well. That's not the
So let's read. So I'm reading to you from again Sagi International. This is what it says.
Okay?
He released the two seas.
Yeah.
It's not talking about any fresh water.
Right.
Two seas.
Yeah. Two seas.
Sea,
Yeah. Bahraini,
according
yeah.
to us, is salty water. Two
Yeah.
seas.
Two seas, yeah.
Meeting side by side.
Right.
Between them is a barrier. Neither of them transgresses. Which two seas is this talking about? Which has a barrier?
We have it here.
It's
Which
in your
two
country.
seas?
Bahrain.
Bahrain.
I'm from Bahrain.
Which two seas?
We have. You can come and see. And
Which two seas?
You can come to Bahrain and see.
Which two seas? Is it talking
Bahrain.
about?
You don't know Bahrain?
Bahrain is not a sea.
Bahrain, this
Which
is why
two
it's called-
seas is it talking about?
You can just Google it.
Which two seas is it talking
He
about?
doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's so great a miracle. He doesn't know which two seas it's talking about.
I cannot translate.
How many
Quran.
seas are in the world?
Hold on. Don't ask me. I will not ask.
So is that a miracle you want to advance, or is that just him?
No,
Maybe
no.
it's just
Are you
him.
scientist or what? Are you?
I can deal with science.
If there is,
I can
any-
There's someone called the General Kusit.
they can-
Good.
what-
Let's
Once
wait.
he found out, he was
How many
completely amazed.
scientists?
Okay?
Let's
And when he asked,
Hello.
when he
let's
asked the
do a
people,
simple
he
logical
showed them what it
argument
is.
here, my dear friend.
Yeah.
According to you, assuming you are right, let's take you to be true in what you said. Assuming you are right,
Right?
one scientist read this and became a Muslim.
Yes, that's right.
If that is the reason why this is true,
Yeah.
your logic should be true even in the contrary case. How many scientists read this and do not become Muslims? And that to you should tell you
My
that
friend,
it is
my
not
friend,
true.
Not you, not me.
If your logic
Oh,
is right, it should work both ways.
Excuse me.
It should work both ways.
Not you or me who's in
Otherwise-
charge of the heart. It's only him.
Well,
Okay?
but now, if you are using the
Okay.
logic, my dear friend,
I'm not in
if your
charge.
logic
I'm
is,
not in charge of your
if
heart.
your
It's
logic,
him.
if your logic is a scientist read and became a Muslim and therefore it must be true,
Right.
I should also be able to say
Right.
a scientist read and hasn't become a Muslim and therefore it is false.
Yeah, and I
Both
can give
should
you
be
his
true.
name, the
And
General
therefore,
Kusto.
and therefore,
Okay.
how many scientists do you know of who have read this who haven't become Muslims?
Yeah, well,
I really don't know.
told you, I
in
just told
person.
you.
Now, let me read to you again.
your idea
He
is wrong.
released the two seas meeting side by side.
Right.
Which two seas is he talking about?
Don't know. We don't know.
well,
What
I
is
knew-
your point now?
Well, obviously you are advancing this as a miracle.
I think-
You
I
are
think it
the
was the
God
miracle.
bearer.
Hold on. You are not getting the point.
Either you are a
You
God
not
bearer.
You are not getting the point. Any sweet. You are saying you are educated, sir. Any sweet and salt water cannot mix together.
Sweet and salt water.
Can you just?
So you're talking about
can you
sweet
just-
and
Now
salt
there are
water.
two seas, but there is a barrier.
Once a while,
in sweet
I'm
water, sweet
confused
water
now.
in the middle.
He is talking about two seas.
There
Two
is.
seas.
The Quran is talking about two seas.
Okay, okay.
He is talking about sweet water versus
Come
sea.
in,
And what are we talking about? Are we talking about a fresh water and a salt water?
Let me tell you something. Let
What
me
are
tell
we
you something.
talking
Okay,
about?
let
Which
me
one? You
we have-
decide.
Let me help
If
you.
there
Let me
is a
help
river-
you. Let me
No,
help
no,
you.
you help yourself
Let me
first.
help you, okay.
Are you talking about two seas or
Let me help
are
you.
you talking about
No,
one
it
sea
is what is
and
your
one
point?
fresh water
What is
lake
your
or
point?
You are
something?
confused.
What
Let
are you
me help
talking
you.
about?
Let me help you, okay?
Okay, go on.
Okay. There are fish that live only in the sea. Okay? There are fish that live in the river. And there are fish that live in between.
So what's your point?
Less density of salt. Okay?
What's your point?
And the thing is, you're trying to say, what are the two seas? Okay, in the same sea, there could be many seas. In the same sea,
Can I say?
you could be
No, wait.
You could be fish.
I'm confused
fish.
now. I'm terribly confused now. I thought
You're trying to limit nature. You
No,
can't
I'm
limit
not.
it.
I'm not.
Okay then.
I'm not a
Okay.
fisheries expert.
In the same sea, in the same ocean, you find many seas.
See,
In the same ocean,
My dear friend,
there are fish that don't go
Let me
to
respond.
certain limits. They have limits.
let me respond to you now. yeah?
Right.
Now, I am not a fisheries expert. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not. But I'm trying to understand your statement. I am a scientist. I can evaluate statements.
Right, okay.
And I can then go and check if it is true or not. My question right now, initially, was you said it is two seas.
Right.
He is saying it's fresh water, sweet water.
Yeah.
He-
No. Don't confuse it. No.
did not say.
It's
I-
not two seas. In the middle of
He
them, there's
used-
a barrier.
Can I
Okay.
am I speaking or are you speaking? Which
No,
which are we
we are telling you because we are Muslims.
No, no, don't
we
tell
can
me.
tell you the Quran.
No,
okay?
the Quran says-
You
I
don't
know
know.
you're Muslims and therefore you're always in the habit of telling.
Don't try to
Please
twist
learn
it.
to wait.
Don't try to twist it. You read it with your own eyes.
Please
Okay.
wait before until I finish. Please wait.
Right.
Yeah. So
Doesn't matter what I say and what he say. Quran say two seas.
yeah, okay. So in
Okay.
other words,
Close this.
in other words, you using the term sweet water earlier is not
trying to-
sensible.
It is sweet water, yes.
So let's keep that aside.
Yeah.
Of course, here it's not talking about sweet water.
Yes.
If you're talking about a fresh water stream inside of the sea, obviously it's not talking about that
So what
because
is-
it's talking about
But the
two seas.
scientist is it's
Can I
sweet
please
water.
finish?
No, just
Scientist
Can
is
I
said
please
that.
finish?
Not us. We didn't know.
Just
Can I please finish?
yes. Hayat.
Scientists talk about a fresh water stream, but that is not what the Quran is talking about. Scientists talk about all sorts of things, but that's not what the Quran is talking about. That's my
the
point.
scientists
The
did.
Quran
The
is talking
scientists-
about two seas.
Correct.
Nothing to do with fresh water. Now, question is, if I need to consider this to be a miracle, enough for me to say that the Quran is true, it is from God because it has miracles,
Right.
to even lay down my life for it,
Right.
let it better be a quality miracle, like the thunderings and the lightnings which Israel heard.
Mentioned in the
God
Quran.
speaking to Moses. God speaking to Moses, Israel heard that.
is the
That is a miracle. Now,
What is the
compare that with this.
What
Two
kind-
seas.
What is the miracle?
Where's the miracle there?
Anyway, okay.
We're talking about miracles today.
Two
Today,
seas
yeah.
meeting side by side. What's the miracle there? Two seas meeting side
And
by
they
side.
don't mix. Read that. They don't mix together. This is the
Between them
miracle.
there is a barrier,
And
neither of them
Muhammad,
transgresses.
1,900.
Which trees?
Hold on. How,
We're talking water.
1,900 years ago, in a desert, in the middle of desert, he's not educated, knows about this is.
I can
this is
see
a-
that clearly.
hold on.
He doesn't
This
have
is-
details there.
This is a sign from God. This
My
is
dear
a
friend,
fact from
Moses, Muhammad
Okay.
is not educated. I agree. Well, I am agreeing with
God.
Islamic
No,
tradition there.
I take
And
this out.
therefore,
He's not.
when I read the Quran, I see verses which don't have details. That is consistent with the fact that Muhammad is
He's
not educated.
to you and to me, not reality.
Now let's read if
not
he has details.
reality.
Which two
He
Who told
seas
you
is
Muhammad is not
educated.
educated?
He's
Who told you
educated.
Muhammad is not educated?
He just
No,
said.
no, no. It is. He is like.
He just said.
He's
Wait,
illiterate.
wait,
He was
wait.
illiterate,
This
yes.
is-
Yeah, that
But he's
definition.
educated.
No, this is not correct.
Educated
I'm-
illiterate is
I'm
worse
wrong.
than even being illiterate without having education.
He was educated by the Almighty, okay?
He cannot be an.
علمه شديد القوى. You know who is the شديد القوى?
So-
He is Gabriel, okay? He taught him everything.
نون والقلم وما
So-
يسطرون.
Now my question is, when the Bible, my comment is this, when the Bible gives miracles, they are well defined, supernatural.
Like what? Like what?
For-
God created.
Don't interrupt every now and then.
God created
I was
the day and
speaking to
night,
him.
then He created the sun.
Please
It doesn't
don't
miracle.
interrupt. My dear
God
friend,
created day and night, then He created the sun.
Good.
Is that kind of miracle? Very scientific. I'm really baffled, you know. I'm amazed.
You interrupt every
God
now and then.
created the
No.
day and night, then created the sun.
So,
What's your good name?
So you are.
The Bible is not a scientific book, I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's not a scientific book.
I really don't like shouting over each other. It's not going to help us. My point is simple.
Yeah.
When you speak, I listen. He made a statement. He asked me
But you
something.
speak too much, you know, you speak too much. That's the thing, you know.
So point is, if I were to compare biblical idea of a miracle with the Quranic idea, I am confounded by the huge differences I see. That is what I am trying to grapple with.
The Bible is better. Or
I'll explain in a couple of minutes. In the Bible, when there are miracles, they are well defined.
The same.
Well defined impossibilities
Oh, God.
The
becoming
same story.
possibilities.
The same story. It is in Quran.
My dear friend,
No,
please listen.
Yes. I'm listening.
Please listen.
Yes. Sorry, I'm listening.
Well defined impossibilities becoming possibilities. That is a miracle according to the Bible. I'll give you an example. Moses on Mount Sinai, thunders and lightning speaking from the heavens, speaking to Moses, with an entire nation being witnesses. They know normally.
were you there?
Are you sensible?
I am sensible.
I can
I'm
only
asking
make
you
one
about miracles today. Something that we can see today.
Correct. This is what we are talking
Okay?
about.
We're not
The
talking
same.
about the Bible. When you're
I'm
talking
trying
about
to answer a
history,
question
we're
he
talking
asked.
about today.
I'm trying to answer a question he raised. I know, I don't think he used the term today. I'm trying to answer a question he raised. Yeah. So, point is, that's a definite. Obviously, people at that time would have known that you won't suddenly hear voices from heaven, especially tremendous voices which sound as much as they are thunder, and they won't see lightning accompany that with a voice speaking. That doesn't happen normally. It's well defined. In that well-defined context, the nation of Israel are hearing that. That is a miracle. Red Sea,
A miracle is something that goes against the natural law. Yeah.
in a well-defined way, well-defined impossibilities becoming well-defined possibilities, which clearly are through supernatural intervention. Another example, I'll give you just one more example and then you can comment. Red Sea, Red Sea, Reed Sea, according to the book of Reed Sea or Red Sea is a sea. It doesn't normally split. Certainly not split in the way people could just walk. In a place which is deep enough for it to cover an entire army dead. So in a place which is deep enough, it opens up to let a nation go and then closes up when another nation comes in. That doesn't normally happen. Impossibility well defined. But that is what happens when Moses lifts up his rod. Red Sea splits. And then when he puts down his rod, after he crosses, Red Sea goes down. Well defined miracles. Based on those things, Jesus, dead man, dead for 4 days, raised back alive. Lazarus. The entire nation saw that. Lazarus was a very popular man. Dead, very popular man, dead and put inside the grave. 4th day, Jesus raises him back to life. Well-defined death, well-defined resurrection. That is a miracle. Based on those things.
By definition, a miracle is something that goes against natural law. Basically.
In a well-defined way. It should be clear.
To
For example, if I come to you and say, oh, you know what, I just showed you a miracle. Where? Oh, did you not see that?
And if somebody has a knowledge that nobody could have at that time, and
how do you
can
establish
see it now?
Okay, let's put it this way.
By science today.
One second.
How can you
For a moment,
story as
for
a miracle?
a moment. For a moment, let us assume Muhammad was talking about sea is having barriers which both of the seas do not.
Let's talk about mosquito.
I'm talking about this. He mentioned another miracle which we dealt with earlier. He mentioned about mosquitoes. He mentioned about a particular verse which essentially said God is not timid. So what is Al-Baqarah? Which one is that? Al-Baqarah verse?
21 or 22?
Chapter 2 verse 21 he said.
Chapter 1.
No, Al-Baqarah 2. 26 I think he said, So
I think you guys doing a mistake because you're comparing knowledge with miracles.
No.
I'm trying to see if it's a knowledge to begin with, and then trying to see, indeed. So this is the verse 26, Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, Ayah 26. Indeed, Allah is not timid to present an example, that of a mosquito or what is smaller than it. So all that this statement is telling me is that God is not timid. Islamic God is not timid for him to show an example out of a mosquito or something which is smaller than it. That's all it is saying. He thinks it's a miracle, and I'm trying to say how could this statement be a miracle? Is what I'm trying to say.
It's basically saying life in a way it's a miracle. That's I think
saying what?
Life in a way. I mean, it's a miracle.
So talking about mosquito, is that miracle or? I'm trying to understand.
Life in a way, just by creating something like that, is a miracle.
Oh yeah, I appreciate. You and I, mosquitoes, even unicellular beings are miracles. But that is not the question. The question is this a miracle attributable to Muhammad? That is the question we are asking. And the question is, if the statement indicates that Muhammad is somehow miraculous, I'd like to see if Muhammad has some insight, which is deep science, which we can establish to be a statement which no one else could have made until his time, which he somehow made without receiving a revelation. If we can deal with every single portion of what I said
without using the revelation,
with only the revelation.
Only the revelation.
For example, if Muhammad spoke about the stars, that is not a miracle. Much before Muhammad, Chinese people mapped out constellations. They had very detailed knowledge about constellations. So Muhammad coming and speaking about a couple of stars would only be plagiarized material, not miracle. Similarly, in other words, whatever he says, if you think it's a miracle, it needs to be attributable originally to him, and attributable not through normal knowledge. For example, scientists discover every now and then new things. That is not a miracle. Scientists discover many things because they have superior technologies as time progresses. But if they have that knowledge through not technology, not through normal means, but through a revelation, then we can say Muhammad received it from God. Yeah. So those two parts are very crucial. We need to be able to establish it is well defined and that no one else could have known until his time, and at his time through abnormal means he got to know. Those are two things. Because if this is a miracle, scientists discovering the structure of benzene is 100-fold miracle. Benzene that he couldn't even see, but he came up with the structure. You know what is called? I forget the exact term, but circular molecules which have circular arrangement. Now, that is my challenge. If you were to read this statement in an unbiased way, I'm assuming you are a Muslim, but for a moment, just take your Muslim cap away from you.
I'm doing it already.
So, if you were to read this statement, indeed, Allah is not timid to present an example that of a mosquito or what is smaller than it. What is the miracle here attributable to Muhammad?
Well,
He thinks there is a
I don't know
miracle.
if we have enough knowledge to respond you. I mean, on that,
No, this is a
it's
simple
a big
English.
argument. But
Okay,
there are
so-
so many verses they speak about science that we're just discovering today.
No, but this
In
obviously
that
isn't one of
mosquito,
them.
there's more technology, and then they have 16.
So, but obviously this isn't one of them.
Yes.
This obviously
It's
isn't one of
Almighty.
them.
We're talking
No,
about
you need-
creation.
Muhammad could speak about mosquitoes because people much before him would have known about mosquitoes. Yeah. Muhammad would have known there are things smaller than mosquitoes which people before him more likely would have known about even before him. So him using those two terms in a verse does not mean he has any special knowledge. Yeah. There, let's assume the Quran has miracles, which I disagree with. Yeah, but let's assume there are. But even if there are, this is not one of them.
No.
Which he needs to agree with.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Now, going to your two C's.
إن الله يستحي أن يضرب مثلا مع بعوضة فما فوقها هي كائن حي ثاني فوق البعوضة واكتشفوه توه حين.
They are much stronger. Just I don't remember them.
Yeah, but I read to you the English. Yeah, if it is a miracle, it needs to be well defined. If it is a
Yeah,
scientific
but
miracle,
you just said for you a miracle is opening water or whatever. Something that goes.
well defined impossibilities becoming possibilities. That's a miracle. Well defined, it must be well defined that it is impossible. And then it must be well defined that it happened.
Look,
Both are important.
we can agree in something that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he did something that was unachievable for somebody that has no knowledge, he couldn't speak, he couldn't read.
No, my dear friend, yeah.
My-
Did Muhammad know about mosquitoes or not? Would he have known about mosquitoes?
No, but mosquitoes. But
No,
what
you just said
what lives on top of them?
What
you were
lives on
talking
top
about
of what?
achieving something that goes against the.
No. I mean, all sorts of people achieve all sorts of things beyond their initial capabilities. Yeah, all sorts of people do that. That is not the point.
Also says in the scientific theories that you have.
So what? We follow your religion. You go church and they go what? What's the problem? So my point is this.
No, he's getting
Ultimately,
paid. He's getting
my
paid
dear
for
friends.
doing that. He's getting paid for doing that. No?
Sorry, yeah, there we go. I'm
Yeah.
getting paid. How much? Do you know about
God
this?
knows, but you're getting
Are you a
paid.
liar?
No one is paying me,
Are you a
but
liar?
you're getting paid.
Are you a liar?
You're a liar, you're a liar.
You're
Do
getting
you
paid.
know what the definition
You're
of a
getting
liar
paid.
is?
Come on.
Liar, liar.
Is that?
Do you know what the definition of the term liar is?
Answer.
Do you know the
Don't
definition?
talk personally to him.
No. Do you know the definition?
He called you getting paid.
I am
Come on, it's not
defending.
me. You're not getting paid.
Hey, my dear.
Be
friend,
honest. Be honest.
We are talking about God.
Now,
Very serious.
okay,
I'm
let's
assuming.
Let's go back.
I'm assuming God is very serious to you.
No,
I'm
I'm
assuming
Of course
He
he is.
is serious to
Of course
me.
I'm assuming
He's
that-
very
Hold on.
important to me. I'm assuming He is important to you also.
Yeah.
So far, was I talking about you getting paid? That would be a silly point to make
wait.
when we are in the middle of a very
assuming
serious
that you are
conversation.
searching for
But
truth.
you seem to make that point. Why?
Yeah, I'm saying that you are misled. That's all.
You said I'm being paid.
You've been
Why did you say
misled
that?
and you've been
You say
paid.
that.
Why did you
So
say
whether-
I'm being paid?
Yes,
Why?
I was telling you.
Because you might probably be doing it from your own will, or you're getting paid.
Excuse me, my dear friend, that's not the question. Why did you earlier say I am getting paid? Why?
Because most of them here are.
Because you are defending
say-
him.
All the
Oh, okay.
speeches here are getting paid.
Truth is coming out now.
Yeah,
Truth is coming out now.
Most of them are getting paid.
Muslims might be getting
No,
paid.
no Muslim, no Christians. Most Christians here are getting paid for doing that.
I thought you said Muslims are getting paid.
No.
It is a most
No, Christians.
Which Christians? So you
Most
obviously
Christians here are getting
so,
paid.
so you obviously said I am getting paid, and I'm assuming you go around saying the same thing about many other Christians. Yeah, I'm assuming. That makes you a very, very sad person.
That person.
When
I'm the
did-
happiest person in the world.
Well, you could be happy when communicating lies.
Happiest
Liars
person
could
in
be
the
happy.
world.
I'm not disagreeing. Go around when talking about serious things in life, lie. Why? Why?
Look, Allah said, when you see the
So
No,
you
no,
are
when you-
lying because
no.
Allah said something.
truth. No. When you see the truth, you recognize it straight away.
Yeah, what?
When you see the truth, you recognize it straight away.
You recognize it. straight
Recognize
away.
it straight away.
So you saying I am getting paid, you recognize that straight away.
Have you read the Quran?
Now question. You saying I am getting paid, do you recognize that straight away that you lied? Do you recognize that?
No. He's not lying.
You're going to now insist that you don't.
Wait.
What, do you know my name?
No.
I don't know your name. Do you know mine?
Wait.
I don't know. That's why I didn't say you're getting
No, but
paid.
you always inspire.
My dear friend,
Yeah.
when I don't know you, it'll be utter
You
foolishness.
should know my name.
My dear
You should
friend,
know my name.
when I
Because you're
don't,
inspired by the Holy Spirit.
when I
This Holy
don't
Spirit
know
should tell you who I am.
No.
Holy
Can
Spirit
you
is not a
define
toy,
what
my
is
dear
lying?
friend.
What
He
is
is
lying
God.
now?
Okay, you know what? Even what's in
Holy
my pocket.
Spirit of God
You
is
should even know what's in my
God.
pocket.
He is not Mickey Mouse, He is God.
Okay, because you're
Get
always,
to grips with God.
you're
Don't
always.
go around lying.
Okay.
You might learn a bit more about God.
Okay, what do you
Don't
know about
mock.
God? What do
You
you know
might-
about God?
I
What
know
do you
he's
know about
serious.
God?
I know every single statement that each of us made.
You called him in
He has-
person. You call him God.
Yeah,
You
which
just
is
called him in person earlier.
I didn't lie.
My question to you
So
now.
God is a person then.
Now my question
God
to you.
is, yeah,
Are you
in three
lying?
persons.
So
Are
what
you
is
lying?
God? Just tell me what is God for you?
He is inside of me.
Inside of you.
Yeah.
No.
Holy Spirit of
So he's
God.
limited in your body.
No.
He's limited.
Holy Spirit of God is inside
Does
of
he
me.
care? Does he care?
Lady
your
Bansa,
skin
bro.
color?
No, Lady Bansa. Hey, Arul, he's not genuine. Let's go rapper.
I'm asking you.
All right, so you.
Are you getting paid?
All
or
right,
not?
the challenge, my dear
No,
friends, is
are you
simple.
getting paid?
Where we began is
Wait,
where I
wait,
like
no,
to
no,
wrap
we
up.
need
My
to
dear
know.
friend, he seems like a sensible man.
No,
So God
Where
is
we
limited
began.
in your own body.
What's it?
I don't have enough knowledge. to
That's fine.
respond.
Can I please make a few statements? Yeah. Can I please make a few statements?
Yeah.
My ultimate point is this. Yeah. You and I, you are my fellow human beings.
Yeah.
I am from India. I don't know where you are from. Where are you from?
I'm from planet Earth.
Part of the earth, wherever. But regardless of how separated we were at birth, we are fellow human beings.
Right?
And that makes us people who could relate to each other, share ideas, communicate.
That's why I'm here today. It's my first time.
Good. And there my point is this. As much as I have respect to you, respect to him, respect to the young man who I disturbed a couple of times, and I do apologize. He's a very young man. I shouldn't have brought him in the conversation. So, as much I respect all of us here, my point is this. I'd like all of us to be with God. And I'm sure you might also have similar ideas.
Depends what God you're talking about.
But the problem is this. But the problem is this. Biblical God educates me to speak the truth, especially when trying to convince people about him. I can't just lie and convince things about
Correct.
him.
Are you
But he
getting paid?
lied on camera. He lied.
No.
Why would he do that? I don't know. On camera, he mocked us, our conversation a few times.
this
Why
is
would he do
respect
that? I don't know. On camera, on record, he did all of those things. When we are talking about a serious subject, which is life
all I
and
said
death,
is was payment.
God. Now,
Are you
my point
getting
is
paid?
this.
That's what I
My
said.
point is this.
I
You
didn't
have
mock you. I asked you if you were paid.
you have two options. One is the Bible.
Don't pick the
The
Bible.
hero of the Bible is Jesus himself. All of the Bible point to him. He is the ultimate person to be revealed in the Bible, through the Bible, for all of mankind. And that is for a good reason. He is God. God who showed
God.
up on the face of the earth. How
So
do we
God
know
can
that?
die.
How do we
Jesus died, so
What's
God-
it? How do
God
we
can die.
how do we know this? We know this
So God can
through
die.
we know this through prophets who prophesied
No,
about
God can
the
die.
coming
Is that what it
Messiah.
means?
And we know
Jesus
this through
is
the
God,
biographies
God died.
of Jesus, by people who saw Jesus. In all of those, what do we find? Substantiable defensible signs and wonders.
Prove it. One proof. Give me
That
one
is
proof.
what we find in the Bible.
One proof.
God created
In
the heavens and the
contrast,
earth in 6 days.
In
The seventh day He rested.
In contrast,
Give us one
you might be
God
following a
rested.
religion
Seventh day He rested.
where you might want
So
to
when you-
ask the
when you-
question,
when you go-
is there a
You're
miracle?
gonna ask God for something.
Is there a
you won't be
prophecy?
having a rest. You won't be
Is there
for you.
an
Sorry.
other-centered revelation? What you would find in the Quran are historical problems, scientific problems, theological problems. The Quran goes against, if at all anything, the Quran should have done a good thing which it failed to do. It should have at least said the Bible is true, whatever the Bible says is true, just stick to this. At least that it should have consistently held on to. But even that it didn't do. It said the Bible is corrupt and so on. So the only solid basis it could have stood upon, even that it demolished. So it rejects the authority of the Bible, gets his history wrong,
So what
gets
God
his
are we talking
science
about?
wrong,
What God?
gets his theology wrong. On top of that, no miracles, no prophecies. On top of all of these things, you find a man, namely Muhammad, who does not seem to have taken the welfare of others at the center. Every single action he communicated as revelation from God seems like always were self-serving. So I'm inclined to ask the question,
Let me
how
ask
would
you
you
this question.
take
Let me ask
his
you this
witness
question.
to be an unbiased witness?
Let me ask you this
You
question.
simply can't. Hasn't got a miracle, hasn't got any of the
Can you
other
read
things.
the Bible to your
At
child?
the least, he should have acted in a way
Can you-
where
can
I
you
can
re-
see he
can you-
genuinely has no conflict of interest.
Can you read
But
the Bible
all
to
the
your
way
son?
through in his life,
Exist in Christianity, you're saying.
in the Bible, what you find,
You know, guess where I'm from?
in the Bible,
Guess where I'm from?
doesn't matter. In the
No, it
Bible,
matters on that. I'm from Italy,
so what?
so what I know what's happening with the Vatican and everything.
Well, the Bible is not Vatican. The Bible
It's
is the
the
Bible.
church.
What?
Well, the teachings that people
You
have
see,
are
you
from
see the
church.
Christian brother here. I am a Christian. He is a Christian. We are the church. I don't know what
Law
church.
stops you know, I'm not
The
saying
building
that.
is
Look,
not a
look.
church. Forget about buildings, institutions, money-making machines. Those are not the churches we're talking about. Churches are living, breathing Christians coming together.
Who written the Bible you're reading?
No, that's not true. Rome never wrote the
who
Bible.
wrote it?
Well, Paul was not a Roman. Well, he was, as a matter of fact, he was, as a citizen, he was a citizen of Rome. Not a Roman in the sense of you're Roman Catholic. Yeah. So he's not he wasn't under the authority of a pope. Paul, Peter, James, John, all of them were moved by the authority of Jesus himself, who claimed to be God, who came to the face of the earth.
So Pope was with.
Now, I'm not here to talk about the Pope. Yeah, I am a Christian.
No, Paul.
Paul.
You said Paul who wrote the Bible, yeah?
Paul wrote portions of the Bible. Peter wrote portions of the Bible.
So he was with
Matthew.
Jesus.
I'm a Catholic, right? I follow Jesus Christ, not the Pope.
Yeah.
Paul, not Paul.
No.
You got
Paul,
the
not the Pope.
So Christians.
No, I just asked who wrote it, and you said Paul, yeah?
No, I said I gave you multiple names: Peter, Paul, James, John, Jude, Matthew,
And
Mark,
these guys
Luke.
were with Jesus.
Yeah, they were
at the
either
time.
direct eyewitnesses or were operating under the authority of direct eyewitnesses. So the writers were credible, qualified eyewitnesses to communicate to us about Jesus.
So when happened that? At the time of Jesus or after he died?
Oh no, they shared. I mean, like I said, they either were direct witnesses or were acting under the authority of direct witnesses.
So either,
for-
so you're not sure.
No, I'm sure, but there are different cases. And so I'm trying to group
just
all
trying
of
to
them in one
understand,
statement.
yeah?
I know.
Different cases, different Bibles. Even the Bibles there are so
He-
Just
he-
ask him who wrote it.
He
yeah?
lies.
No, only one Quran.
He
One
lies
Quran.
as it
one
suits
Quran.
him.
One
Now he
Quran.
makes
You're
things up
lying.
as it
You're
suits
lying.
him.
No, you're the liar, not me.
I know
you're
you
the
are,
liar.
but he lied earlier.
No, you're the
because it
liar
just
now.
suited
You're
him.
the liar.
Now he's making things up because it suits him.
No, there's one Quran.
Okay,
One
doesn't matter.
Quran.
Keep going. So you said
Matthew,
No,
for
one
example,
Quran.
shared with Jesus about 3.5 years of public ministry. So Matthew,
you've been
you
misled,
know,
my
when
friend.
Jesus ministered on the
You've been
face of the
misled.
earth, Matthew was with him. So
God
that is one
created
example,
the heavens and
Matthew.
the earth in 6 days,
Mark, on
and
the
the
other
seventh
hand,
day he rested.
might not have been
So
with
one day you're
Jesus
gonna-
right through
you
his
pray
life,
to him, he
but
won't be there,
was
I'm sorry.
certainly familiar with
It's his
Jesus,
off day, you know.
did share his life, at least a portion of it, with Jesus. That is Mark. Luke, on the other hand, is
Yeah.
possibly working under the authority of Paul and Peter. How much did he personally see when Jesus himself was
how many
around?
white people
Not
are-
sure.
how many black
But he was
people in the
certainly
church?
working under the authority
statues
of
do you
Peter,
have?
for example,
You're-
who certainly was
you're
an
all the
eyewitness
underdogs.
throughout the ministry.
You're all the underdogs.
John
All
was
of
an
you.
eyewitness
You're all
throughout
slaves.
Jesus' ministry.
You're all slaves, my friend.
Paul
All slaves.
saw Jesus in a very supernatural
Did you
way
see
on
one
the road to
black person in the
Damascus.
church?
Uh,
One
Peter,
black person in the
Jude,
church? It doesn't
James
exist.
were half
Because
brothers
you're
of
inferior.
Jesus. Apostle John wrote the epistles of
No,
John.
the church.
These are the kinds of
No,
writers
Muhammad
we
is-
have for the
you
Bible.
read.
Jesus claimed to be
No,
God.
no,
He
you
claimed that he had
lied.
authority
You
to
lied.
forgive sins.
You lied.
He claimed that he was much better than the temple in
But what
Jerusalem.
I'm saying is, it's
He
true.
claimed that he was eternal
Any
when he
church you
said
go,
he was there
only have
before
white people.
Abraham was.
You only have
So he
white
claimed to
people.
be
You don't have any
eternal,
black.
greater
You
than
don't
the
have any
temple of
Asians.
God. He claimed to be the Lord
God-
of the
no,
Sabbath,
God created man in his own
Adonai, of the
image.
Sabbath.
He's white.
He
God
claimed to
created
have
man in his own
authority
image.
to forgive
So
sins.
anyone-
Put all of them together.
anyone
The
thinks that
Jews
he's God.
during his time
God looks
clearly
like
knew
you. He might
who
look like
Jesus
him.
was claiming himself
So
to be,
God has
which is
given
God. And that is why they
It's the
accused
Bible
him of
that created-
blasphemy. And that is why they took him
It's
to
the
the
Bible
Roman
that created
authorities,
skin colors,
accused him of
okay?
blasphemy and sedition.
The Bible is a racist
Because the
book.
Messiah was supposed to be a king also. So there they accused him of sedition because they said, oh, he's against the emperor. Emperor there. So sedition, blasphemy, rightly accused. Jesus did not deny both of them. He agreed that he was a king, but he also said, my kingdom is not of this world. He agreed that he made himself equal to God. He never went against that. That is the history of Jesus that we do know based on public, verifiable, demonstrable revelations. Public signs and wonders. Would you like to follow him as opposed to someone who gets his history wrong, someone who gets his science wrong, someone who gets his theology wrong? The Quran and the Muhammad. Yeah, that gets. So you need to choose. So you are presented with an option. Now, why am I speaking to? Am I angry with you? No, not at all. Apologies if I am shouting a lot, but my point is, as a fellow human being, which I am sure you have the same mindset, similar mindset also. Yeah. So I do appreciate. As a fellow human being, I'm just commending to you what I perceive to be truth, what I perceive to be verifiable truth. And so the invitation to all of you and the other gentlemen who asked me what we were talking about, the invitation is you really need to come to Jesus. Jesus alone is the way. There is no other way besides him. You are, I'm assuming, taking God seriously, and you are willing to lay down your life for him. If that is the case, let me comment to you, I would choose to do that only if I have a verifiable, strong foundation to do that. And that you find only in the Bible. When I see the Bible, I can say, I clearly see God, I'm willing to lay down my life for this God. But when you see the Quran, if you are a thinking man, you should say, I won't take a risk with this. That's what you should say. Like what you were saying, mosquito, smaller things, that's a miracle.
Americans, they
Is
believe
that
that
what
God
I'm
looks
going to
like
take
them.
my life
Black
decisions
people, they
based
do
on?
not
I think me or him or even him have the knowledge to respond.
But
God
you
is
are,
like- man,
my
is like
dear
any
friend,
one
I
of us.
appreciate. But the fact of the matter is, you
So do
should
I. How we should
gain,
the same.
let's
How
put it
we
this
should the
way,
same.
on the day of judgment,
But God,
which barrister are you going to use?
cannot contain you. Okay, it doesn't look like you.
Barrister, God on the day of judgment,
minute.
would you be able to use
a
a
minute.
particular barrister? Would you be able to act as your
Can I
barrister?
have one word?
One sir. No, let me finish this and then you can argue about it.
No.
What do?
What?
Just 1 minute.
Which
1 minute.
barrister are you going to make use of?
Just 1 minute. I will just continue.
No, 1 second. Which barrister are you going to make use of?
Who's? Just a minute. Just a
On the
minute.
day of,
Just
it is a judgment seat.
What does?
You might need lawyers.
He's
Yeah,
speaking.
one second. It is a judgment seat. It is serious business, life or death. Your life would be on the line. You would like to make a best case for you to receive life, wouldn't you? The best case possible. So you would like to make use of any expert in the law. Which barrister would you want to make use of?
I don't really understand your question. To be honest.
Your silence so far gives an answer which I agree with. You can't make use of any barristers. There would be no one to defend you. Earlier you said
That's why you. Of
One
course,
second.
nobody's gonna.
Precisely. Earlier you said you and him don't have enough knowledge to deal with these things. But my point is this, my dear friend, Don't depend on some strange fellow sitting somewhere with a funny cap telling you stuff about the Quran. Don't do that. You should consider for yourself if it is true. You should consider for yourself if it is dependable. You should consider for yourself if you would lay down your life based on what you find there. Imams sitting somewhere, they might get money, they might get all sorts of things, and therefore they might say all sorts of things. Don't depend on them. None of them would come and defend you on the day of judgment. You would face God face to face, and therefore you better have your own reasons. I have mine.
Same for you too.
I have mine. I know Jesus to be true. I know Jesus to be historical. I know he came down, he laid down his life on the cross for me. I have verified these things to be historical.
How sure are you?
I'm 100% more than that sure. Yeah. The point is, various Christians have various mechanisms by which they know Jesus to be true. In my case, I have historical verification on top of my personal experience with him. But for many other Christians, it could just be personal communication. Speak for just yourself, sir, and that will serve you well.
Okay.
So that is my advice to you, my dear friend. You need to get, I am sure. Yes.
He has an opportunity.
Truth to me that
he
you see,
think he has
people
an
die for their beliefs, but I don't think people die for something that they made up. And all his disciples, they were cowards when they saw him died on the cross, Jesus, yeah, Peter denied him 3 times. All of them, most of them, almost all of them just left, yes? It was only when they saw him resurrected, there was a constant switch in them, and all of a sudden they were ready for die. I mean, if they made it up, would they go for certain death as martyrs? All of them except for one. Yeah?
Yes.
Why?
And the term
Would you do
witness,
that?
the English term,
I don't think my faith is blind. It's not blind. Because
you know the Greek term for witness?
That doesn't add up. That's the thing.
The Greek term for witness, turios, from where we get the English term martyr. In other words, Christians, early Christians, were witnesses and were martyrs. It is that martyrdom which defined their witness. They saw Islam. How many of you have seen? How many of you have personally verified, experienced Allah? If you haven't, you really need to give up. You need to come. If I ask my sister that, do you know God personally to some degree? I'm pretty sure what her answer would be. She says yes. If I ask my brother.
We are talking to God every day.
So are you saying you talk to
Yes,
God?
we are talking to God.
Who is someone who talks to God according to your theology? Ah, good. Who is, my dear friend, you're a Muslim, faithful Muslim. Who, according to Islam, who is someone who talks to God?
Quran, when you Quran is Salah.
He claims he is a prophet. Do you think there is a prophet after Muhammad?
He didn't mean
He,
that.
he said he speaks to Muhammad.
I'm talking to God. I
He
can
meant
take to God
prayers,
now.
not soul, actually.
So he, according to he contradicts his own theology.
I just said
he-
I don't think he meant that.
Well, in which
not
case he
saying
hasn't
he was-
spoken to
I did
God.
not
I think
say.
he was talking about prayer.
In which case he hasn't spoken
I
to
did
God.
not
Let's
say-
ignore
hold
that.
on.
A prayer in a
All right,
way, a
good.
prayer in a way is
No. Prayer is not. No. I'm talking. So when
Are
you
you
say
speaking to
no,
God?
one
Now,
second,
hold
one
on.
second, one
Are
second.
you speaking to God?
No,
If
let me
there is a
excuse.
dialogue between you
My
and
dear
God,
friend, let me ask
can you
you.
record it?
No, but I pray to God.
Don't say bullshit.
So-
Can you record?
So
I'm just getting answers from God.
yes, can I ask that question in a slightly different way, please? So if I question you, so you said you know God in a particular way, yeah, to a certain degree. By that, did you just mean you prayed to Him? Is that what you meant, or did you mean more than
How
that?
far you know?
I just know it. I
Yes.
can't explain. I just know it.
So
Yes.
you, in other words, you mean much more than saying just a few words.
You know God.
You don't mean I know Him because I've said a few words to Him. Yeah. So that is the Christian definition. So my
friend.
brother here, he can testify.
My friend, do you know the
So
Bible
you know
invites
God
you
to a
into the
certain
drinking
degree.
world?
And when you,
You
say
become
you,
an alcoholic in the church. In the
when
church,
you
start
say
drinking wine.
one day, when you say you
Okay.
know God, do you just mean you offered some
People are
prayers
suffering
to
from
him?
alcoholism every day. They're
So
dying
you
every
mean
day.
much more than prayers.
You were invited to drink in the
Oh,
church.
excuse me, my dear friend. Either you care
They were
about God
invited- Of
and
course I
stay
do.
quiet,
Of course I do.
or don't make a noise.
People are invited to drink in the church.
in my life.
Good.
Your paradise.
Listen to him, please. What does he say?
Paradise. Muslim paradise. You're going to
I
the
experienced
Yeah, wine is different
interaction
from
in my
hell,
life.
but a different. But it doesn't make you
Interaction.
drunk. Doesn't make you drunk.
Interaction with God.
No, no, no.
Not just saying a few
It's not
things.
the same-
He
it's
is
not
a
the
bit
same wine.
confused.
It's not the
Because
same wine.
Islam gives that
It's not the
definition.
same
So
honey.
I'm not
It's not the same
surprised that
water.
he's a bit confused.
It's not the same water.
Christians have
like it.
experiences of
Paradise
God,
is paradise.
various degrees. Paul saw Jesus. The light that came blinded him and it spoke to him and so on. And he had people who were near him as witnesses of what happened. This guy is not like Paul. So him saying he knows God, you can safely ignore that.
People are dying every day.
In other words, compare these two. Choose for yourself. Research by all means. I know you said you haven't got enough knowledge now, but make use of all the statements we have said. Research for yourself. My brother, most likely he'll put this video up in SOCO films. SOCO films. Search for that. Remind yourself of the points discussed. Please research. And we are here, most of one of us, you can one of us Christians would be here at the park. He's going to ask us further questions, and you need to come to Jesus. Yeah, good to see you. God's blessings. Good to see you also.
Definitely, absolutely.
God's blessings. Yeah, I enjoyed my conversation with you, despite it being a bit interesting.
Well, I'm going to check. I will check
My
it
dear
out.
friend, good to see
Okay,
you.
brother.
God's
Don't keep
blessings.
sleepwalking in Christianity.
All right, okay. Thank you.
Wakey, yeah?
Thank you for
Okay,
the
brother.
advice.
Take care.
Thank you.
All the best, yeah?
Take care,
Take care.
take care of the little one.
Yes.
Good to see you, my young man. God's blessings. Yeah.
All the best. Take care. All the best. Yeah.
By God's grace, we had another interesting conversation there. I think we had 3 sets of people there. The last young man, I think, was a productive conversation with him. The couple of other sets of people before that, I think, were also interestingly productive, but in a slightly different way. They seem to reject many of the things we said, but I think they might have paid attention to what we are saying. So the point is, comparing two worldviews. On the one hand, you have verifiable, defensible, demonstrable, supernatural. That's what we have in the Bible. And on the other hand, you have the Quran, which is none of these, gets its facts wrong, gets its figures, everything wrong. And therefore, the advice to all Muslim friends, you are our friends. We'd like to be your friends. And we genuinely mean this. But the fact of the matter is, my dear friends, Jesus is verifiable, and in Him alone you can enter into heaven. Without Jesus you can't, and therefore you really have to come to Jesus as soon as possible. You don't have to rush to take a blind decision. That's not the point. By all means, consider carefully, evaluate and decide, but please hurry up. This is serious stuff, and you really need to take these things seriously.
Amen.
Amen. Did you want to add anything to that?
I find this discussion today very, very interesting, and the level of knowledge that people will come with without evidence is really a sham. But thank God for His word, where we can declare His word
Amen.
and have the revelation of the truth,
Amen.
knowing that Jesus Christ is alive and well on planet Earth.
Amen.
And we
Praise the
can
Lord.
trust Him every step
Amen.
of the way.
Amen. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Thank you. Praise the Lord.